And for our listeners out there, just use the term Disneyland dad. That's sort of a term that is commonly used in litigation by the mother to say that the father does nothing but the fun stuff with the kid. He doesn't do the homework with the kid. He doesn't make sure the child's fed, that sort of thing. He just takes the kid to Disneyland or to the zoo or something to that effect. And which is thought to be a negative thing in the eyes of the court, because you have to take both the the bad with the good, or the not so fun activities with the fun activities.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely. I think that it would be great if the guys were not limited to that sort of relationship with their children. It would also be nice if the guys were not limited in the court's view to having exclusively a financial relationship with their children, because that's kind of what the courts are looking at, is, do you pay your child support? That's all we're looking at you to do. But it's also important for the guys, again, to understand that you got to let the kids have some downtime. You have to enforce rules. That's not easy, and I think it would help for the mothers to also be aware of how tempting it is, and because you're putting the guy in a situation where he has so little time, and the last thing he wants to do is fight with the kids,
right?
Or force them to do something that's going to make them mad at him, because every minute he's got is a treasured minute, and if you have your kids all the time, you expect that you're going to have a couple of times when you're going to get a door slammed, or you're going to be told, I hate you, and then you get over that in an intact family, because there's always another day. But with a divorced father who sees his kids rarely, it hurts. It really stings.
Right.
And so the temptation, I'm not saying that this is the right thing to do, I'm just saying I understand the motivation behind it, is to try to do things that are low stress, low pressure, and have a high likelihood of making the kids happy.
Absolutely. In fact, I had a case not too long ago in which the father had custody of his 5-year-old, but didn't have an overnight visitation, only had a short amount of time, and he chose to take the child to the park as opposed to doing homework with the kid. And that was really looked down upon, and as I pointed out as his advocate, well, it's springtime, the child is 5 years old, he only had a couple of hours with the child, all this kind of stuff. But, he really, he got looked down upon by the guardian ad litem because he had chosen to go to the park.
And it's not like mothers don't take their kids to the park.
No, absolutely not. And, I'm framing this in terms of dads and really, their role in being proactive and that sort of thing. But it's also the mother's side of things too. I mean, she shares some fault in that as well. And going back a little bit, you said that fathers need to be proactive in changing the child's diaper and saying, no, I'll feed the child. Well, mother also needs to realize that she shouldn't take the child away. She shouldn't say, no, yeah, I'll do it,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
She needs to allow the father that opportunity, I think, to do that kind of stuff.
Right, and that continues on long after the couple has been divorced as well, is that it would be great if mothers would say to their kids, I remember having situations where my kids had something broke on their shoe or whatever, and I think their mother actually was being nice about this and said, well, you know what, I want you to talk to your dad about that when you see him, and he'll help you fix that. To talk nicely about the other parent.
Oh, yeah.
To encourage the relationship, because it shows the kids. I mean, this sounds like such psychology 101 kind of thing, but kids blame themselves for the divorce. They think that they're responsible for all sorts of things, and they love both of their parents. They understand in some unspoken way that they're half mom and half dad. And if you've got a situation where mom hates dad, then the child is naturally going to try to want to not like dad, because he doesn't want to alienate mom or make her feel bad. And you put this child in a terrible position of having to love one parent more than the other.
Right.
And that's not what they want to do. And, right, we as adults, we're supposed to have a better idea about how to handle things than to try to be a second grader like the kids are and say, well, if I can't have my way, I'm going to take my baseball and bat and go home. You can't do that as a parent.
Yeah, and I think that some parents maybe don't realize that, say a 7 or 8 year old child will think about whether or not he's hurting his parents' feelings. and what they're doing and their actions, especially in a divorce situation. And I think they really do, especially like you said, if one parent's talking badly about the other parent, and it sort of makes them feel that they're supposed to dislike that other parent to make sure they don't hurt the parent's feelings that are making the bad comments. It really gets sad when they really just turn away, from dad or mom, whoever, sort of being alienated in that situation.
Yep, it's not a happy thing.
Now, you mentioned child support, which is obviously of interest to most of our listeners, if not all. You talk on your website about a child support plan. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, goodness, I haven't looked at that article for a little while. But I think, generally speaking, in a lot of places, as I understand it, there are courts that use a computer program that tells you exactly how much you're supposed to be paying. But there are a lot of other jurisdictions where the couples have got flexibility. And to be able to sit down with your ex or your soon-to-be ex, and most cases are not knock-down, drag-out, antagonistic things. Most divorces can be settled, but the couple sitting down and saying, look, how much do you make, how much do I make? Let's kind of come up with an amount of money that the child needs to have to live on, and we'll support that. I think also it's absolutely vital that the dad does not withhold money as a way of punishing the mother, in the same way that I think that the mother should not be withholding access to the child as a way to punish the father. But both of those things, as you know, happen quite a bit.
Yes, they do. They're pretty common. So Missouri is not one of those states that would allow you to sort of develop your own child support plan. We have a Form 14 which sort of shoots out a number, and technically there's some flexibility in that because the court can rebut that number, but other states, I guess, allow you to be a little more proactive about setting your child support, and if the two of you can work together, then obviously more the better in setting that number.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do, the number has to do with the amount of time that the child spends with each parent, right?
Yeah, yes.
So I guess the discussion actually takes place one step before that, which is that the mom and the dad get together and say, I know that the child is really important to you, and here's the proposal that I would come up with about how we're going to split the week. So, or however you're going to do it, depending on the age of the child. When my kids were very little, my ex and I were on this schedule that we kept on for way too long, but it was 2-2-3. So it was a 2-week cycle. I would have Monday, Tuesday. She would have Wednesday, Thursday. Then I would have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then the next week she would have Monday, Tuesday. I mean, and then now we're at a week at a time. But to come up with something like that, because it really puts both parents on an equal playing field, and then there's no incentive, because the formulas are sort of worked out that the less time the father spends with the child, the more he pays. So the incentive is to fight, for the mother anyway, to fight for more time in order to get more money.
Right. All right. Well, Armin, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure.
All right. And for our listeners out there, to learn more about Mr. Dad, you can go to his website, which is mrdad.com. And once again, he serves on the board of directors for Men's Health Network. And to learn more about that, go to menshealthnetwork.org. And thank you again for joining us. And please join us again next week.